you have to fight for what you want.
My guest today is Precious Belessin Ugbekile.
Nearly 150 million children live on the streets. She is an inspiring entrepreneur, youth advocate, humanitarian from Edo State, Nigeria. Precious Belessin Ugbekile. Her journey from childhood adversity to becoming a mentor is powerful. True Identity, her non-profit organization, empowers child hawkers and young women in Nigeria through education and skill training. With over a decade of dedication, Precious advocates that love and the right education are the key to lifting children off the streets.
You've said that there are 3 words that every child should know, should hear, and this is I love you. So we're going to explore that love. For someone listening right now that's just hearing this or watching us, what do you want them to take out of this conversation?
What I want people to take away is that life doesn't always give you what you expect or deserve. Often, you have to fight for the life you want and for the person that you're meant to become. Personally, nothing for the longest time was handed to me. I had to fight for everything that I had. The journey may be filled with challenges, but it's in those moments that you grow, you adapt, and find your strengths. It's not about waiting for opportunities to come to you. It's about creating them and have the resilience to keep going even when things seem tough. I think that's just knowing that nobody promised me anything, nobody promised me even tomorrow, gives me it shapes how I live each day. I know that I'm here. When I want something, I have to go get it. I will not wait back. I won't stay and wait for it to come to me. So just knowing that you have to fight for what you want, for the person that you want to become, you have to put in the work as well.
I just think that the listeners and the viewers will be curious to know the space. Like, how is it growing up in Edo State?
I would say growing up was both challenging and formative. I was raised in a bustling environment with our home just a short walk from the market. So life around was always fast and very busy. People spoke and behaved in ways that mirrored the vibrant energy of the surrounding. I'm sure you know New Benin.
Yes. I
Yes, our house was just less than 5 minutes walk to the market. So early on, my home was filled with warmth and affection. For me, that early stage, it was a major part of how what I knew, who I was. My parents were they had a good career. They were quite successful at that time, and then they faced challenges that brought about financial struggle. So that changed the dynamics in my family. You know, with struggle comes change. It affects everything. So I think the struggle brought about that change in my family, you know, and at that early stage I didn't fully understand what was happening.
What age are we talking
It
about?
was early. I think I was about 7, 8 years at the time. I was really young. At the time I didn't understand. It was as I grew older and with more information, I started to understand. You know, parents try to shield you. Just it's about what you see. At the time, I knew that they were fighting a lot and having a lot of disagreements because it was hard. It was hard to manage the home, and you know, again, Nigeria, you're not just taking care of your immediate family, there's extended family, and sometimes you there are friends that you have to support as well. So it's a lot that we carry as we grow older. And sometimes I just wish, oh, I wish I'm a baby again and I don't have to worry about all these things. But yes, as we grow older, our responsibilities continue to change. We take on more than most of the time, more than we can handle.
Were you scared at any time, like as you were growing older and the reality was hitting you that things are changing, there are financial constraints, now you're going to grow older? Were you scared at any time, like, oh my God, I'm going to have responsibility, I will have to buckle up or something?
Of course, all the time I was scared. Now I'm still scared because in life we're becoming, right? So you're never really ever there to say, oh, I am fully here. We're becoming. And as we face challenges and uncertainties, there is fear. I'm scared. Every day I wake up, I worry about things, how it's tomorrow. What does tomorrow have to offer? There are a lot of, especially the things that we can't control. There's so many things that we can't control, we can't handle. It's not in our power. So we live life just trusting God, not fully, not having the full picture. You know, even when we design our lives, there are things that will redesign our lives for us.
Yes.
So every day I'm afraid.
And I think this is so universal because I experience that as well. There are some days that, of course, I'm so occupied not to worry. Yeah, and you're just too busy to be worried. And there are some, in those moments, those free spaces where maybe you have some time to reflect, then you start worrying about other things and even the things out of your control. How can we manage this worry? Because anxiety is real, right? So how can we manage this to now stay or try to still live our purpose? You know, don't get distracted by the worries and the fear, but still find your path to live according to probably your purpose or what you're looking for. How do you manage this?
For me, I would say it's having faith in God.
Okay.
I that's the biggest for me. Whatever, like sometimes I feel like I can do it by myself, and I'm quick to be reminded I cannot, and then I have to go back to God. I have to trust Him. I have faith. I have deep faith in God, and also a commitment to continuously um, develop myself. Self development is also something that I lean on.
I really appreciate the fact that you're saying reducing the burden through faith. So for
Mhm.
other people, it could be through therapy or talking to someone or talking to a family member. You know, on the other side, do does it feel, or maybe not for you, but generally, does it sound somehow like not taking responsibility? Just relying on I don't have control about everything. Um, Many things are out of my control. So let me take the day as it comes, you know, not really owning maybe one's own part in the whole story, you know.
Yeah.
Does it
So
lead to that? Does it lead to that?
no, not for me, because for me, I have to do all that I can do, all that is possible within my power to do, and then I can trust God. So I don't say just wake up and say, "Oh God, let Your will be done today," and go to bed. No, of course not. You have to put in the work, like give it your 99% first, and then say, "Let Your will be done," because no matter how hard you work, no matter what you do, there are things that are totally out of your control that you would still go south, or you can't control them. So it's you put in the work first, applying yourself, giving it your best, do what you have to do, and then asking that His will be done in everything. There are steps to follow for everything in life. I think that has been laid out already. Well, we just need to search. We need to find. It's like finding your way. You're on a street. If you have to ask questions, you look. You have to read a map. Whatever you have to do, you have to do it first, and then trust that God. Okay, I'm going to now take this road. That seems like the right road, right? And whatever happens, you have to live with it somehow, knowing that you have played your own role. You've played your own path.
What I'm hearing is like reduce the burden by trusting and trusting the process. Do your best, be proactive, do what you can do, that's within your control. Started an organization called True Identity years ago, and True Identity, just listening to the name now takes me back also to your story where you said you constantly had this worry about, okay, the hardship now that has come into my life, maybe this could prevent me from actually finding my true identity. And you constantly start thinking about it. First of all, as a young person, why this thought of this fear of like might not be who you're meant to be? And did the situation then really shape your identity? And if not, how did you come to really finding your true identity?
I think that when things are different for you,
Yeah.
when we have friends, we have family members, we see how they're living, where they're coming from, we their families. When yours is different, oh, maybe this is not how it's meant to be. Maybe my case is different. So the opportunities that you have that's different from, for example, I live just next to the market, right? And when people are living somewhere else, when their parents are doing fine, when it's like with even with your friends, when you talk about their families and you hear them and you feel like, oh, what's wrong with my home? So I think I knew the things were different, and I worried a little. I worried for a while. I didn't even dare to dream big dreams because I didn't see more than my environment. For me, it was this is what I have. This is what's in front of me, and again, I think it's good and bad, right? Because good in a sense that from a young age we learned how to be content.
Hmm.
Just whatever we were handed was just okay. I'm that child that never used to ask for more, never used to ask for presents, Christmas clothes, or anything. It's good, but again, it takes away ambition. You're happy where you are, wherever you are. You don't want to fight for more. You don't want to. I still struggle with that. I'm very content. I wake up, I'm happy. Little things is enough for me.
Okay. So like settling for
Exactly. Feels like settling. Yeah.
the status quo. You still found a way to build yourself. And then you kept passing by the children at the market or on the street. You see them selling fruits and it would have been in your comfort zone to, well, they're not your relatives, so why would you go out of your comfort zone? You're already struggling with yourself. Why would you go out of your comfort zone to start talking to them or want to know more about them? What motivated you to do that?
I would say it's a part of my own journey.
Okay.
Just the lack of opportunities that I experienced and not having a voice and not having someone to step in and kind of that pillar that you need to thrive. I didn't have that, and I just didn't want another child to experience that, even though I didn't have the capacity to do it. But for me, I was like, there's always something that we can all do. We can all try. At the time, I had zero, almost zero capacity, but I had me. And I thought I was enough because I thought just encouraging them at the time would do something for them. I would buy things from those children and leave my change for them. And and then I would buy as much as I could. I would advocate for them and talk to my colleagues and say, "Oh, this fruit is so nice. Do you want to buy some?" I thought that was enough because that was all I had to give. And I wanted to just fill in that vacuum I that I thought that they had because I had it in me. I was looking at myself at that time to say, I'm fighting for my life, for the future that I want. And I still feel like this. I still feel kind of a little bit empty. I still have this vacuum in my life. I'm struggling with a lot of things. How about these children? The children that are just on the streets and um, experiencing hardship, having to move from one destination to another, under the sun, under the rain, and just not having a choice. I didn't want that. And I thought I can do something. And I was like, I would try. If it doesn't work, I will know that I tried. That I think that's something that I live by when it comes to when I experience there are things that I can't stand. My heart will not let me. There are things that my heart really beat for when it has to do with other people. I think more than fighting for myself, I know how to fight for others. And when I have that opportunity, before I think through it, because I wasn't thinking through it, a lot of things could have happened. There are some homes that we went to that I was a little bit crazy, but I wasn't thinking about it. For me, I just jump and like, I really want to help, and I'm not afraid when I'm helping someone else.
Wow, see that's just empathy. It's so comfortable. It's so easy to just turn a blind eye, to look the other way and be like, please, I have my own luggage to carry. It takes so much courage, so much empathy, so much love that the world needs more of to actually look into someone else's situation, especially those people that people treat as outcasts, right? I know there are people out there that might feel motivated to do something, but they're just scared also like maybe I'm pocknosing, maybe they don't need my help, maybe I'm going to even put more salt on the wound, right? Uh, Maybe they are content in their or they're settled for that. Why do I have to now unravel this whole thing? So how gain confidence and what does your organization do?
Okay, for me, I believe that it takes a village to raise a child, and I hold that really dearly to my heart and follow it to the latter. True identity was born out of a desire to step in and provide the support for it started from our Empowered Child Hawkers outreach, right? So it was born out of the desire to provide support for our working youngsters, as we call them. It was a chance for a better life. Our mission is an empowered African society enabled to rise above the clutches of poverty. And we're committed to provide education and skill empowerment to child hawkers and young women. For, it's just about creating opportunities, to give them opportunities, the opportunities that they deserve to grow into who they were meant to be. Creating a path for them to thrive despite whatever challenges that they're facing. We love what we do, and we've been able to create amazing programs and support so many children. And one thing that continues to inspire us is the difference that we make. There were times that I struggled with a little bit of regret, like, oh my goodness, all my life, what did I do in my life? It's over a decade now. I'm like, by now, I know I would have been this, I would have been very rich, because again, most of the funds from the early stage with my personal funds, because I didn't believe that supporting, I just felt like it was a cross for me to carry. And I didn't want to bother any other person or with that cross. I just thought, okay, I had to do it by myself. So I was funding the organization. And maybe I could have been one of those children, you know? I think that's the change in my story and in my journey. It's why I'm here today. It could have been anyone can end up as those children. When I look back and I see the children that we empowered, the life that they live now, and how some of them are employers of labor, how they're helping to support their families, how they're a blessing to the society because they are contributing in one way or the other. That is more than enough. That's one thing that continues to inspire us to keep going. And then that's how I stopped having to regret all my years and that I put into running the organization. Major challenge or a major reason why these children are on the streets is due to the shifts in Nigeria's economy. That plays a significant role. And when we talk about the term street children, we don't call them street children. They're child hawkers. And talking about stigmatizing, whether or not that's stigmatizing, it is stigmatizing, right? Because it labels the children in a way that reduces them to their circumstances rather than recognizing their potential.
Mhm.
So our true identity, we don't use that term. We call them young stars. Society often misunderstands our youngsters, the child hawkers, assuming they are on the street because of poor choices or lack of ambitions. Mainly, we would think of their parents as okay, maybe lazy, or which is not true because, like I said earlier, that could have been me, can be anyone. Just one wrong turn in our lives, we would end up somewhere that's unbelievable.
Yes.
The reality is for the reality is far more complex. So the stigmatization affects their self-worth, their confidence, and can limit their opportunities. So when society views them through a negative lens, it becomes harder for them to access the support and opportunity they need to rise above their challenges. So our focus should be on empowering them and not labeling them. When we started the organization, we used to say an end to child hawking because I actually thought, oh my goodness, we can just end this because that's what I wanted. End it now, fast. But over the years, 10 years after, we've not been able to put an end to it. And when you
Why
think about this,
do you think it's almost impossible?
because we have to look at the root causes, right? Now we say empower child hawkers because how do you end without empowerment? Every child that we've worked with, we've tried to empower. We work with their parents or their guardians, and we reach an agreement to say we want to support, right? We want to work with you, to step in to work with you to empower your child, and we educate them of all the dangers. Those children are exposed to all sorts of abuse on the streets. And then we talk to them about just what we can do. What can we do to support your family, to take this burden off the children?
Yeah.
And then most of them would say just education. Most of the children are on the streets just so they can have education, so that they can have food to eat. And then we give them scholarship, and we're responsible for all their educational needs and give them extra support when we can. But every child that we've encountered for the longest time now, over 10 years, that we've supported never return back to the streets.
Mm.
So if there's empowerment, those children would not be on the street. We can't say just end it.
Yeah.
But there's a root cause, there's a reason. And if you look at it, I will not even encourage all the children to move into the house when nothing has been done, because do we want them to die of hunger? I would
Mm.
rather that the child is on the streets, but on. So what we do when we have our outreach every year, we have our Empower Child Hawkers outreach. And when we have those outreaches, we educate the community, the children, their parents about the dangers of street hawking, and we teach them how to stay safe on the street, because we can't empower all of those children. But while they're on the streets, these are the things that you need to look out for. While you're on the streets, maybe these are the places that not you should not step into. You how to do business safe, right? We do all of those things, and then we empower the children that we can give them scholarship, and those children are out of the street permanently. But those that are on the streets, we empower them to stay safe on the streets
To be street smart.
until exactly until help comes. So I think the government, it's easy. For a while, I think there's a ban on child hawking, yes, and there was a time that they would even pick these children up and try to arrest their parents. It doesn't help. What's the alternative to staying at home? Some of these children would die of hunger.
Mm.
And
Mm.
what about the children that don't live with their parents?
Oh,
Most of those children don't even live with their parents. They're living with an auntie or someone who is caring for them. And that's the only way they can get a meal. And you want to take that away. They would they would hurt them in the house. So we have to find a balance. We need to empower those children and get them off the street, and do it in a way that we take them off the street permanently and give them true empowerment. So our children are in the university, are in secondary schools. We have some children who are learning trade, maybe because their educational foundation is so bad they can't cope academically. And then we have to create an opportunity, because before now we thought, oh, it's just education. You have to be serious, you have to go to school, you have to learn, education is power. And then
trade and skills is it's also
exactly.
them
So
ones that finish the university.
exactly. So now our children, some of our children are thriving just with a skill. They don't have the university education, but they have a skill to lean back on, and they have a skill to empower themselves and empower their families.
Yeah.
So it's creating all those opportunities that's important. That's how we address the issue. That's how we take the children off the street permanently and say that indeed we've done something good.
Oh wow, it's like your passion for this is just coming out of the Zoom recording to my face, and I can feel that it's so necessary not to stigmatize the children, not to criminalize like their family, their environment, and just having a policy is not going to change the actual needs for back end empowerment within the families, educating your families about, and even making some of the children street smart that you can't, because you really need strong capacity to be able to get all these children back reintegrated into society. And just listening to you, I think, because I have a background in charity work as well, and I know that there are moments where you see things happening and you're like, oh my god, I can't just change that, right? There is no magic way or spell or something to just make that right, and you don't have the capacity to do it. How do you, because I had moments where I just couldn't sleep, because I know, oh, there's this case, we have to work and try to empower that woman who's a survivor of human trafficking, but we just can't because we don't have capacity, we don't have enough resources at that time. And there were moments, months, where when I have such things, I can't even sleep. And it was like a battle to find peace of mind, to just be like, okay, I can't solve the world's problem, So how do you ever experience something? Did you ever like experience something like that? And how do you deal with?
Every day, today, tomorrow, I'm sure, yesterday, of course, every day, because there's so much one person can do.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard we work, there's a lot that's going on. I interact with our children, the young women that we serve, the children that we serve, their stories, the way the way they have to live and cope with life. It's hard. Before now, I used to break down a lot emotionally because I'm like, and even blame myself, like, oh, maybe I'm not fighting enough. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not doing enough to help them. But now I find comfort in just what we're able to do,
Mm.
and to know that we're all a work in progress, and just to give myself a little bit of grace as well, to say you're doing enough. You know, my pastor once said to me, he said, you can't do this by yourself. Remember that you're in partnership with God. So you're it's no one person is able to do so much to solve the world's problem, and it's something that's, especially with how the economy is right now, things seems to be getting worse than better. Most times I just want to lock myself up in and shut myself away from the word, because I don't want to hear, I don't want to see what's going on,
Yeah.
because it's hard to deal with. It's very hard. So everything that we're able to do, we do. We give it our best. When we encounter a child that needs our help and we're able to help, we give it 100%, and then we celebrate that. And that's how I'm like, okay, but we did that. We couldn't do everything, but at least that's one person. That's one more person. That's how.
The celebrating every single positive impact that
Yes.
you create is a way of finding peace and comfort in the capacity and the work that you do. So you said that every child should hear these three words, I love you.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so important?
Because it's just knowing that someone cares for you, and knowing that you're loved. when when I talk about love, it's for me, it's how can we love and love unconditionally, where people don't feel she loves me because I'm nice to her, she loves me because I have to do this for her. There's no trade in love. Just I love you, not because you're a good child, not because you're perfect, not because you're smart, not because you're nothing, because like I love you. We should, that's how I love, that's how we should love. I have all those flaws, but I just really want someone to love me and not worry about my flaws, and not worry about who I am, or what, just all the challenges I've had to face in my own life. That's how we should love, and just love and let people know. I think we don't say it enough. Just say it every day. I love you, not for anything, not because it's your birthday, or because I just love you. Remind people that you love them. And we don't hear that enough, especially in Nigeria. People don't know how important that is. It's very empowering, just knowing that.
Well, is it just the hearing, or are there different ways of showing love, or is that speaking love important? Because there could
Speaking,
be ways of showing
yeah.
love.
So speaking love is important because people show love, right? Like growing up, only now I'm trying to understand a lot of things. Before now, I would there are times that I really questioned whether how much my mom really loved me, because she was a disciplinarian, still is, and and with all the challenges and all that was on her shoulders, all that she needed to do for her family, immediate family and extended family, I don't think that there was time to remember to say I love you, right? But did she love us really? Yes, she did. Those sacrifices. But did we know, or did I know as a person? No,
Totally.
I didn't. Yeah. Because sometimes maybe I needed to hear it. Because sometimes how love is communicated is doesn't look like love. When we correct our children or even our loved ones, when we correct them, it's because we love them that we correct them. But do they understand that? So you have to create that balance to say, I love you, but you need to do this. So I correct our children, even our true identity, all of our children. I think some of them don't think I'm so nice because there's some things we have values. There are a lot of things, and because of my own experience and journey, and all that I've been through, I use that as a guide for them to say, okay, this is life is not going to hand you this. You
Yeah.
have to fight for your life. Education is important and all of these things. But when you communicate that without that balance, to then stop to say, you know, I love you. I do this out of love because I want you to be great, because I want you to become who God has created you to be, who you are meant to be. So when you don't communicate that, then there's a vacuum. People don't understand. So you caution them without creating that balance to say, I actually do this because I love you. This so I think that's the gap that we have, and that's where the misunderstanding is, where it could be misrepresented in a child's life. So
Mm.
just
Is it,
the action is important, but the words is also important. Just saying those words.
is it then too late often? Like, because when you were talking about your mom, I also just remembered and reflected on the relationship I had with my mom. And I know that even as an adult, even as an adult with my own children, I still have this craving to feel loved. Yes, you grow up with that idea of she's my mother, so she loves me. So this is like a primate thinking, right? And the things she does, the sacrifices she feels she makes, so she loves me. But somehow there is like a vacuum there that I carried on for a very long time. And the vacuum, it was somehow I don't feel like I'm really just loved. I'm yearning, looking for that love. It's just something that, like, I'm looking for. I want to feel it, and there's no other person that can give it to me except that my maternal part of it. So I'm now thinking, like, is it too late as a mother, as a parent, not even just a mother, this applies also to fathers as well. As a parent, is it too late? Like, after you've done all the hustling and stressing and you brought up the child and everything, you've made sacrifices and so on, the child is living somewhere or it's alone, has their own children. Is it still possible to fill that vacuum and now shower them with love? Do you think it's still possible? Or do you think sometimes you just get used to that kind of relationship and then you play down with, well, that's the culture, right? While you still go on feeling a bit of trauma out of that, maybe I'm not so loved, right? Because it now reflects and shows in different parts of your life, in your own relationship, right? You start attaching yourself to people looking for their validations everywhere, right? So do you think for parents, there's still a chance to compensate or just show that love, let that child know that, well, you are loved? Or it's still
Yeah,
like,
it's not too late. So, like, my mom wasn't someone who, I don't think that it was something that she experienced. So, how do you transfer what you don't have? How do you give what you don't have? So, she didn't experience that and she didn't know how to. But I think over time, at, at the later in life, right now, like I could send her a message or something and she'll say, Oh, thank you so much, my. Or she would say something like, "Good morning, my darling daughter." I'm like, "Oh wow," you know. Those things give me butterfly, So it's not too late to
Yeah.
say I love you. We end calls sometimes and say I love you, and she would say, oh, I love you so much, my darling daughter. So it's never too late. It makes up for a lot of things. The lost years are gone. We're here now, and we have to make the best use of what's left of what we have, and whatever moments we can share, we have to give it the best. Whether it's with siblings or with our parents or even with friends, just share genuine love to everyone in your life, whether it's a neighbor or whoever, even a stranger. Be nice, be good, and love others like you love yourself indeed.
Wow, yes. Now you've just stopped that last sentence, just reopened something. Love others like you love yourself. What if I don't even love myself? What if I don't have self-love? And I don't have the capacity to give that love, This is how do you work on loving yourself? Because when you say love others like you love yourself, if I don't love myself, then I can't even love others. So
Yeah, and when we don't love ourselves, we don't trust the love that we get. So
mm,
because I don't love me, when you actually tell me you love me, then I can suspect you and feel like, oh, what is she up to?
mm,
Because I'm not used to it. So like we're all a work in progress. Over time, you understand it. For me, I had to battle with when people say I love you. I like, do you mean that? What does that even mean? But over time, when we have that consistently in our lives, we start to understand and accept it as, oh, okay, this is real. And maybe this is what this is. And then we're able to give it to other people.
mm,
So we might, it's two ends, right? We might not have the capacity to love other people because we don't love ourselves. But if we get love from other people over time, we start to build that trust and believe that, oh, this is love. And then as soon as we start accepting the love, we're able to give it.
at the end of every episode that we go through 3 questions. Every guest goes through this question. So I'm always excited about the different twists and the different perspectives to this. So number one is, could you name one bold that you have made, something that you were so scared of, but on the courage to do it anyway?
I would say it would be true identity,
Okay.
really. It would be true identity. At the time, I had no idea. I had no skill. I had zero skill, but I I launched the organization almost by myself without support. And just one, it would be launching it, and two would be just um, staying committed and being consistent.
And you have spent a good amount of time now on Earth, right? So share one of the most valuable lesson that you have learned from all your experiences.
I would say, I think one is just maybe trust the process,
Okay.
um, have faith in God, and just fight for the life that you want. Nothing, nothing is going to be handed to you. Maybe not, but you have to, whether or not it's handed to you, you have to fight for the life that you want. You have to ensure that you become who you were created to be, because it doesn't matter whether or not you were born with a silver spoon. A lot of people will still not live that life and still find themselves, find their true identity, and become who they were created to be. So it's actually just fighting for yourself to become who you were created for, to ensure that you're living a purpose driven life.
Wow. And if everything was handed to you, this is the last question. Everything was handed to you,
Yeah.
and you had all the resources, all the tools.
Yeah.
What? What you'll be doing? What is it that you will do?
Maybe doing true identity on a larger scale. When we think about children, we think about young women, there's so much that they're having to go through. There are young girls who do not have a home, who do not have a place that they call home. They do not have a place that they don't have a community that supports them. They're having to just without opportunities. Is to ensure that that number that it's limited, that children don't have to be on the streets. I would do try identity on a larger scale.
And so thank you so much for this session, for these conversations. I really look forward to exploring your growth process. I'm in the process too of growing, finding myself, diverting, finding new parts that resonate with me. So I was really excited, and I've learned so much from all that you from this conversation. Thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I think it was a great conversation, hard conversation. It's just so much to think about and remember, but it was good. Thank you.